This new update that's coming to Madden 24 is going to completely change the game as we know it. And we know early in the year, we always get a ton of new updates for every Madden game. They're fixing certain things, they're adding other things, they're also adjusting the meta of the game. But this upcoming update is going to present one of the biggest changes we've seen to Madden after launch in a long time. Now, I'm going to go over some of these changes that are coming, and we're going to also talk about the big leaks that we found out about a few days ago that's really going to change the game as we know it. We're going to be having some gameplay changes, but the biggest thing is going to be all of these new abilities that are going to be hitting the game, and I'm going to dive deeper into these as I've gotten more information on them. So in terms of the gameplay, some things we're going to be seeing change soon is definitely the loot blitz being addressed. They already said that they're going to be addressing this. They addressed it last year, but it made its way back this year. However, not quite as bad as it was last year, but it's still pretty annoying. Now, some people might argue that they shouldn't address this because, to be honest, defense in this game isn't the greatest right now. So unless they're going to somehow buff defense as a whole, if you're removing the one way that brings consistent pressure, you're going to have a game that has very little to no defense, and you're going to be able to score every single drive. Without the loot blitz, it's pretty easy to score in Madden right now because while man defense is good, it's not as OP as last year, and zone is just still too easy to manipulate if you're a good player. But they already said they're addressing the loop defense because at the end of the day, they don't want defenders looping around the offensive line because it's not supposed to happen and it looks bad. So hopefully they're going to also address something maybe as it pertains to the secondary or just standard 4-man pass rush, because defense still has to be able to get stops out there, and against a good player without looping, it's pretty hard to do that right now. Of course, they're going to be addressing a number of things with franchise mode, the companion app coming soon as well, but they haven't touched specifically on what things they're currently working on. We know with this last update, they did address a bunch of things with franchise, but there's still some other things like draft classes, for example, that they still need to fix that they said they are working on, but they haven't specifically said what update that's coming in. Hopefully, it's going to be this upcoming update, but we're really going to talk more about gameplay related stuff in this video. Now, we got a leak the other day about a ton of new abilities that are coming to the game, and we have not seen an ability update like this in years, pretty much since I would say the beginning of Madden 21. So Madden 20, they got introduced and it was a big change to the game. Madden 21 at the beginning of the year when that game launched, they fixed some of them, they changed some of them around, they added some new ones, but since then there's just been a couple here or there that have been added. It really hasn't been completely overhauled in a while, but all these new ones that are coming are going to completely change the way the game is played, both in franchise, ultimate team, and even regular head-to-head. And I'm going to break all of that down for you and let you know what this actually means for the game. Now, really quickly, I do want to mention that we are sponsored by Underdog Fantasy once again. They are a great fantasy app, and they also have a fun pick'em game that I like to dabble in myself when I'm watching sports. And with week 1 of the NFL season coming up, they actually have a great special going on that you just can't beat. You can get Patrick Mahomes to go higher than 0.5 yards. So that means if he passes for 1 yard, which he obviously is, that's gonna hit. So all you have to do is find another prop that you like, whether it be from that game or just any other week 1 NFL game. So for example, in that same game, I'm gonna take Amon-Ra St. Brown to go higher than 77.5 yards. And if both of those hit, you can win some money. And with Mahomes being at 0.5 yards, they're just basically giving you a free play right there. So you just have to find one other thing to get right. Now, if you sign up and use my promo code RAY, R-A-Y, they'll actually double your first deposit up to $100. So you can get $100 free to play around with. So if you're interested in it, check it out. So the Mutt Leaks account a few days ago leaked these new abilities, and I spoke on them in a previous video briefly, but I wanted to go a little bit more in depth on those things today because I've gotten some more information on them and can confirm that they are set to be coming to the game very soon, and it's going to change a lot for mainly franchise mode and ultimate team in my opinion. It will change a little bit for just the regular head-to-head rosters, but not as much as franchise and ultimate team because those modes you can kind of get every ability that's available and you can customize players a lot more, whereas the regular online head-to-head rosters, it's really up to EA to decide who gets what abilities there, so it won't be as big of a deal there, but some of these current players will be getting some of these new abilities. So let's talk about the first one. It's called Third Down Threat. This is going to give you better third down mid-range catching versus single coverage. On third downs, receivers with this ability have a better chance to win contested catches against single coverage up to 25 yards from the line of scrimmage. Now, this one can be pretty important because as we know in the current state of Madden, receivers definitely dropped the ball quite a bit this year, which I believe is by design. They added even more mid-air knockouts. They added more ground knockouts where the defender meets you at the catch point and knocks the ball loose. And you've seen it if you've played the game. Receivers drop a ton of passes this year. So this ability actually is something that can be very important, because if you're putting this on those possession receivers, on third downs, they're not going to be dropping the ball. It's pretty much going to guarantee them a catch on anything up to 25 yards, which is a pretty considerable amount. So you don't have to worry about getting hit sticked and dropping the ball on third down. As it stands right now, a lot of people are using the gift wrapped ability because of this, which also helps, but adding in another element to this to where you can put it on your receiver that you're going to typically target on those big third downs. A lot of times it's going to be a slot guy. This can definitely help with how you divide up your abilities depending on what mode you're playing. The next ability that's coming soon is called Linchpin. This gives you stronger blocking from all offensive linemen. Players with this ability grant improved blocking to the entire offensive line. So this is more than likely going to be something that you equip on a quarterback, but also it could be for a running back as well. And basically what this does is it's going to limit the block shed timer for the defense. So when you're passing or running the ball, at some point your offensive line is going to get block shedded, whether it's multiple people or just one person. And whoever sheds that block is going to either go for the running back if you're running, or go for the quarterback and try to get a sack. Now, every play kind of has a built-in block shed timer. You can't just stand in the pocket all day long. Sometimes you're going to shed quicker than others if you're rushing more players, but there's usually a good 3 at max 4 seconds before somebody gets loose and hits you. Now on run plays, sometimes they even can shed much more quickly and kind of hit you before you get even to the line of scrimmage. Now with the linchpin ability, if it's on your running back or your quarterback, it's going to grant better blocking to the entire offensive line to the point where it's going to limit that block shed timer. So that means on average your offensive line is going to be able to hold those blocks a little bit longer, and that's going to allow you more time to pass and also better running lanes if you're running. There used to be an ability in the game called Protected that was for quarterbacks, but it appears that they took that out a couple years ago, and now they're bringing it back as Linchpin, which can probably work for QBs and running backs. So not just getting better pass blocking or better run blocking, but actually getting both. So this could be a pretty overpowered ability in this game. The next ability is Interior Threat. This gives you dominant pass rush moves from the interior. Dominant pass rush moves from interior defenders with this ability use faster, more dominant pass rush moves while rushing from the interior of the defensive line. So this is a combo ability, which a lot of the abilities that are coming to the game are, where they're combining 2 or 3 abilities into one. I believe 2K does this. Madden has even done this in previous games with abilities, but it seems like they're adding a lot more back to the game now, which completely changes the game. So this ability, Interior Threat, instead of just having El Toro, which gives you dominant bull rush moves, or instead of just having Swim Club, which gives you dominant swim moves, or Ripper, which gives you dominant rip moves, this is going to combine all of that into one. So you're going to get improved pass rush moves across the board. So think of a guy like Aaron Donald that's just kind of good at everything. He's just a monster. That's something that he would have in the game, and this is something you can equip to your defensive tackles or your inside defensive linemen that kind of play in a 3-4. You could put it on those guys, and this is going to allow them to get to the QB even better, because instead of just using one type of move, they're going to have all 3 moves, and this is going to be pretty overpowered, I would assume. The next ability is Lurk Artist. This gives you improved and spectacular picks for lurking defenders. Defenders with this ability can make jumping 180-degree interceptions while lurking in a zone in the middle of the field, have a greater interception rate, and they don't get tired after interceptions. So this is another one that's pretty OP, especially when you consider the fact that drop picks have been very common in Madden for the past few years. So a lot of times people use things like Pick Artist so that they can actually catch more interceptions. Now, this is going to combine quite a few abilities here. It's combining Lurker, which gives you the spectacular catch type interceptions and the 180-degree catches. These are essential, especially if you want to use a linebacker, because otherwise linebackers don't jump that high anymore. So it's giving you Lurker, but it's also giving you Pick Artist, which is going to allow you to get a higher interception rate and allow you to not get tired on the interception return. But it also seems like it's adding Acrobat to this mix as well, because it's talking about how you can get better interception animations. So it's either Lurker and Pick Artist combined, or it's Lurker, Pick Artist, and Acrobat. I can't 100% confirm on this one, but this is going to be the best ability if you want to get interceptions in the game by far, and you're definitely going to want it on your user defender. It's going to make you just a user god. The next ability is Backyard Quarterback. This gives you 4 additional hot routes and faster playmaker reactions. Passers with this ability have access to 4 extra hot routes during pre-play adjustments and receive more immediate playmaker reactions from wide receivers. So the combo here is they're giving you Hot Route Master for your QB, which means you're going to get the additional hot routes for your running back, your tight end, and your receivers, but it's also giving you faster playmaker reactions. So when you try got a playmaker, a running back, a tight end, or a receiver in the open field to change their direction, they're going to cut on a dime with the playmaker ability instead of having the little bit of the delayed response that's not as sharp. So honestly, this is super overpowered because Hot Route Master is always one of the best abilities in the game, and Playmaker is a very good ability. Most people just don't use it in Ultimate Team, at least, where it would be more prevalent because of the AP cost. But if you're combining this into one ability, you're just going to have a super QB. Anybody with this would be pretty much be Patrick Mahomes. You can hot route anything you want on the field, giving you the most unique plays, but you can Playmaker any player on the field and get the improved reaction. So this is a really good combo ability, and especially if you're in franchise mode as well. If you want to draft a young stud and turn him into the next Mahomes, this is what you're going to want, backyard quarterback. Now, they're also giving the backyard abilities to every position. They have it for halfback, wide receiver, and tight end, and it's the exact same thing. It's going to give those players the 4 additional hot routes and also the faster playmaker reaction. So it's obviously going to be the most overpowered on a QB because for the QB, it basically gets it for your entire team. Whereas if you just have this backyard on your halfback, only the halfback is going to get the routes and the faster playmakers. If it's on your receiver or your tight end, only those positions are going to get the hot routes or the playmaker, but it's still going to be overpowered no matter who you have it on. It's just going to be best to try to get a quarterback with this because it just gives you all of them into one. Instead of just having it on your QB, you also have it on your halfback, receiver, and tight end as well. So you like to try to get it on him instead of getting it on individual players. Now, hey, if you're still here at this point in the video and you haven't subscribed yet, you might as well go ahead and subscribe, join the family, because you're basically already a part of the family anyway if you're watching the videos. That way you're always up to date with the latest Madden and football gaming news, including the upcoming NCAA football game that's coming out very soon. The next ability that's coming to the game is Omniscient. This highlights the user defender and 3rd and 4th down blitzers. Players with this ability can detect user controlled defenders before the snap, as well as the 3rd and 4th down blitzers. Now, this can also be bluffed. If you're bluff blitzing your defenders, it will still show as there's blitzing. So that's kind of the counter to this. Now, this is going to be more so of a thing if you're playing in user versus user CFMs or Ultimate Team. If you're playing against the computer, then the ability to detect the user controlled defender doesn't matter here because it's the computer and they don't have a user controlled defender. But if you're playing human versus human, this is actually another super OP ability because it combines Identifier and Blitz Radar into one, which are 2 of the best pre-play abilities or pre-snap abilities in the game because you can see where the user defender is so they can't catch you off guard, and you can see if they're blitzing on 3rd and 4th downs, you know where those blitzers are coming from. This you could usually either put on a quarterback or an offensive lineman. Usually you'd want to put this on an offensive lineman because it's a little bit easier to get on the O-line than on a QB, and that frees your QB up to get these other abilities like backyard QB, for example. So this is another super overpowered one. When it comes to understanding what's happening pre-play, there will be no better ability in the game than this one right here. It gives you a huge edge, and it's going to change how this game is played. Now, for the receivers, we have some new abilities as well. We have Short Elite, which gives you improved catching on short passes. Receivers with this ability can catch more consistently while catching passes less than 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. We also have one for Mid Elite and Deep Elite, which does the same thing. Mid Elite's going to give you the consistent catching 10 to 20 yards from the line of scrimmage, and Deep Elite's going to give you consistent catching 20 plus yards from the line of scrimmage. So all 3 of these right here are combos because typically receivers can get short in elite or short out elite. They can get mid in elite or mid out elite. Same for deep. You can't get both in one ability until now, and this is going to make every receiver so much better because instead of having to pick one or the other, if you have a guy that you constantly keep on short routes, you can just get Short Elite and put that on him, and he's good on any short route. If he's a guy that's only running your deep routes, like your deep posts and your deep crossing routes, you just put Deep Elite on him, and it doesn't matter where he's going, he is going to have that ability. It doesn't matter if he's going to the inside or if he's going to the outside. So again, with these new combo abilities coming to the game, it's going to make it just a whole different game. It's going to make players more powerful because the players that are able to get these abilities, you don't have to really pick and choose. You can kind of just make them a jack of all trades for certain things instead of having to just pick one or the other. And the last one they're doing for offense is the most insane one in the world. It's called Master Tactician, which gives you faster / bonus hot routes and quick playmaker reactions. Passers with this ability have access to 4 extra hot routes during pre-play adjustments. They make hot routes faster, and they receive more immediate playmaker reactions from the receivers. So what this essentially is here is better than backyard QB because instead of just giving you the hot route master and giving you the playmaker combined into one, they're throwing a 3rd ability in there, which is conductor, which allows you to make multiple hot routes without having to animate your QB, so you can make faster hot routes. So if I want to change 2 players on a play, I can do that really quickly instead of having to do one hot route, wait a a second and then do another one. So now that allows me to set up unique plays, have playmaker, and I can quick snap you because I have conductor. So if I have a quarterback, I want master tactician. If I can't get that, backyard QB is still super powerful, but I definitely want master tactician because it gives you pretty much everything you can need outside of a velocity ability like gunslinger or pass lead elite. So if you add one of those older abilities on with master tactician, your QB is just going to be absolutely insane. They have deep zone KO, which gives you improved reactions and knockouts in deep zones. Defenders with this ability force more catch knockouts and react quicker in deep zone coverage, 20 plus yards from the line of scrimmage. So this combo right here is, instead of having deep in zone knockout or deep out zone knockout, it's just deep zone in general. So no matter what type of deep zone you're in, if you're in a quarter, a deep third, a deep half, a middle third, whatever you're in, you're going to get the improved reactions and the knockouts, which you're going to need to go against these receivers that now have all these elite abilities. This will help you kind of take care of that as well. They're also adding Enforcer Supreme. This grants unbreakable, demoralizing hit sticks. Defenders with this ability don't allow broken tackles, cause heavy fatigue penalties, and will clear the ball carrier's progress towards entering the zone when landing a hit stick. So with this one, they're giving you Enforcer and they're giving you Deflator, which I think is a really good combo. I think it also is going to help you make better tackles as well, but this is a good combo because when you hit stick players really hard, it should fatigue them and it should wipe their progress towards getting in the zone because it's such a demoralizing type of play. But if you just have Enforcer, you know, all it does is just give you the big hit stick that you can't break, and it has a kind of that higher chance of causing a fumble. But now adding Deflator with this as well is going to fatigue them. So this is a little bit of a counterbalance to some of the stuff that the receivers and the QBs have here because, you know, they can tire out your offense a little better. Now, when looking at this list as a whole, it does feel a little bit more beneficial for the offense, in my opinion. Now, granted, there are some good defensive abilities here. You've got Lurk Artist, which is going to help you get more picks. It's going to help you play a little bit better defense. Interior threat's going to help you with pass rush up the middle, better block sheds. You know, Enforcer Supreme is going to help you with tiring players out and maybe causing fumbles. And the deep zone KO is definitely going to help you play a little bit better zone defense, which is needed. But when I'm looking at the fact that we're giving, you know, playmaker and hot routes and better route running and better blocking to the offense, this feels like it's going to be better for the offense than it is for the defense in a game that's already offensive. So I'd like to see them add even more defensive abilities here if they can figure that out, just to maybe counterbalance it a little better. But this is going to completely change how the game plays coming soon for franchise and for Ultimate Team in a really big way. Now, speaking of abilities, if you want to know what the absolute best abilities in the game are right now, you can check out this video right here on the screen.